And so, Mike, what I want to do is with you, I want you to update us on the fast, which just ended, and let us know how your health is, just to make sure you look fine.
Well, you look fine too, Jim. Harvey, I'm not so sure.
Yeah. Well, I've got a few years on you guys.
No, I'm feeling fine, back in one piece. But before I get into the fast, I wanted to say hello to Ellen and mention that something that I'm sure that she knows, but maybe your listeners don't, that the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom was a significant component of the educational campaign to take constitutional rights away from corporations, to end that crazy notion of corporate personhood and the crazy notion that money is the same thing as speech, by endorsing a constitutional amendment to get rid of those two things. And Wilf put a lot of effort into putting together, I think it was a 10-session curriculum on the whole question of corporations and democracy. And many years ago was very involved in that. Mary Zepernick and Virginia Rasmussen were two members of WILP who were part of the program on corporations, law, and democracy. And I worked with both of them for many years. So in addition to the initiative that she's talking about, and in addition to anything that activists are doing, whether it's a fast or pushing a particular bill or anything, we really need to include at the same time, it's not a, distant cousin. We need to include at the same time the idea that if we don't take constitutional rights, like First Amendment, 14th Amendment, Fifth Amendment, so forth, all the way down the line, if we don't take those away from corporations, we're going to be chasing our tails doing initiatives and fasts and picket lines until we're dead and the oceans are boiling and nobody's going to care anymore. So that's one thing I'd like to add as a PS or in addition to what Ellen was saying, and I try to add it into everything that I talk about for Veterans for Peace at the same time, because it's if we don't deal with the fundamentals and we just are trying to respond to the latest horror that the weapons makers and the people that are running the food industry and the people that are running the healthcare industry, if we're just responding to the latest problems they cause, we're never going to get ahead of the curve. So that's something I'd like to put in there, and get onto the fast if you want.
Go for it. Tell us about how the fast worked out and what you can take away from it. And
Okay. Well, I see Anthony Donovan's here with us, and he was an important part of it because he lives in New York City and has been one of the main people conducting a vigil at the same place where we stood when we were fasting, which is in front of the U.S. mission to the United Nations, which is right across the street from the big UN building that most people recognize if they see a picture of it. And Anthony and a number of New York City peace people have been vigiling there on Thursdays for the last couple of years. So we were happy to share that space with them. And every day, we being the 4, 5, 6 people from Veterans for Peace and a varying number of activists and fasters from New York, northern New Jersey, Long Island, Maine, Connecticut. We would go to the front of the U.S. mission to the United Nations with our signs that said "Feed Gaza." It was, and what we were, the name of our fast was Veterans and Allies Fast for Gaza. And it was organized by Veterans for Peace, but with the substantial help of groups like Friends of Seville North America and a number of other groups. And so people came out to say hello to us and also to participate as a faster, to participate in the informational picket that we did every day in front of the U.S. mission. Sometimes we'd have 3 or 4 people there. Sometimes there'd be 20. And on the last day of the fast, on the 40th day, well over 100, maybe 200 people showed up, including a car caravan from Maine, to end the fast with an exclamation point, because a couple of people that helped organize the fast, Addie Domsky from Friends of Seville North America and Joy Metzler, who's a VFP member, said, we don't want to just fast for 40 days and go home. We want to have some kind of escalation, some kind of fireworks at the end of it. So we did. And that was quite exciting. Just briefly, explaining the fast every day is not all that exciting. I mean, we went there and stood with signs and didn't eat. I mean, that's not all that exciting. But it fostered a really wonderful atmosphere among the fasters, those of us from Veterans for Peace who were staying in New York together and around the country. Over 800 people participated around the country in this fast, and people in 5 other countries. But on the last day, the Joy Metzler and a couple of the other 40-day fasters organized a die-in, and they processed from the UN mission to from the U.S. mission to the UN over to the Israeli mission to the UN, which is a few blocks, with a huge banner, and they proceeded to do a die-in on the middle of 2nd Avenue and blocked traffic for a good while, and 28 of them got arrested. And back at the U.S. mission to the UN, I had a gallon paint can of cow blood and threw that on the window of the U.S. mission, right as you were looking through the window to the big ugly portraits of Trump and the person from Ohio who's vice president, whose name I refuse to remember. As you're looking through the window at them, the blood just ran down on their faces. And it was a very satisfying way to get arrested. Let me just say that.
Did you get arrested?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. And the other people that got arrested who were at the Israeli mission and did the die-in, they got processed and released. And several days later, I guess just a couple of days ago, their charges were dropped. I, unfortunately, had an outstanding warrant from a demonstration I didn't even remember in New York 13 years ago. And I mean, that's how minor it was. We were charged with loitering at a public park after hours. It was on Armistice Day or Veterans Day, and a bunch of us from Veterans for Peace were at this little memorial in Battery Park observing Armistice Day, and we weren't going to leave at 10 p.m., and so we got arrested for that. But when I went to court the day after I got arrested, I spent the night in jail. I went to court the next morning, and the judge, in the interest of justice, I shall quote, in the interest of justice, dismissed the old warrant, and I've got a hearing set for August 12th for the new one. So we'll see what happens there. But it was something that the fast was something that took off far beyond anything that I expected when we were organizing it. I would never have guessed that many people, well over 800, would participate in it. I would never have guessed that we would have touched people's hearts to the extent that we did. And I got emails back from people who, many of whom had never done anything like that before, who really expressed their gratitude for having a vehicle to uh, be able to do something more than what they had done to protest the genocide in Gaza. So all around, it was a very enlightening and transformational process and project.
Did any of the emails stand out to you that you can think about right off the top of your head that you might want to share as far as somebody in, who knows, Albuquerque or
Yeah. Um, well, the sentiments were similar in that people were saying, this has been making me feel terrible and I have to do something. They were kind of similar in that regard, but I can tell you that we got emails from people from Hong Kong, like a handful of people in Hong Kong that heard about it somehow, and they participated in the fast. Another group of people in Saskatchewan, another group in Ireland, Germany, South Africa, and Australia. And we didn't even try to make this an international thing. Well, Kathy Kelly knew someone in Australia right off the bat, but other than that, the other people that participated from these other countries just, heard about it in some way and were so concerned about what's going on in Gaza that they joined the fast. And I've heard from people after the 40 days were over, I've heard from a handful of people who said that they're continuing to fast a day a week or 2 days a week or something like that, just to, try to maintain the spirit of what was generated by that fast and also to continue to be a witness against the genocide.
now, of course, it's probably not going to change any hearts, but as far as the policymakers, but it does give an opportunity to call attention to more of the people. And I guess that was your primary purpose, to just educate.
Yeah. Yeah, and we always said anytime that we spoke to people on the street or did an interview, we said every time that this is an inconvenience for us to fast. We were consuming 250 calories a day, which technically is a starvation diet, but we were in the process of doing it for 40 days. And but we would automatically, and every time we would say, this is an inconvenience for us. If we get sick, like I did after 21 days, if we get sick, we can get medical attention. We got clean water that we can drink every day. We're not getting bombed every day. We're not living in this hell of tension and fear all the time. So, what we were doing was relatively insignificant to what the people in Gaza were going through, but we felt that it was something that we could do to try to bring people's attention. And that was the main reason that we initiated it. But as I said, as it went on, the camaraderie and the spirit that was generated both among those of us in New York and around the country from people who were participating was something I never expected. It was remarkable. It was truly remarkable. And I think it was an experience that was transformative for a lot of people. And I think it's going to make a difference in their activism for a long time.
Excellent, excellent. How was the media coverage? I know one media organization has tried to cover you fairly regularly, and that's Radio Free Nashville and the Veterans Repeater Radio Hour.
And they have done a marvelous job. You guys were at the top of the number of interviews that we gave to any media outlet. I think this is probably the third time I've spoken to you about the fast. And in typical fashion, the corporate press in the United States, they didn't care a bit. We got zero coverage from the Times, the Post, Reuters, Associated Press, even though we really tried and got news releases to them on a regular basis. It wasn't for lack of trying. But Democracy Now! Did a couple of stories. Al Jazeera did at least one, maybe two stories. And two different networks in Turkey. One is called TRT, did a nice story, and another one, Anadolu Agency, which may not be a household word among your listeners, but it's like the Associated Press of Turkey. And a large number of media outlets subscribe to their service and run stories, republish stories that they create. So they did a couple of nice stories on us, and those are showing up, all over the world. So, and then we did a lot of interviews, for example, like Radio Free Nashville, a lot of interviews on local radio stations and podcasts. And a couple of local newspapers, like the Toledo paper, did a story because I was involved, and a couple of TV stations around the country did a story because one of their local people was involved with it.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Harvey?
Charleston Post and Courier didn't cover it.
Well, we'll add them to that long list.
But we did a vigil downtown, and we told people who came by about the fast, and we had full body photographs of starving infants and children in Gaza. And
right.
So some people might have, given it some thought. And
yeah. And that's what we have to do. I mean, it'd be nice to get stuff on the ABC and so forth, but we're not gonna. And that's just the society we live in, unfortunately. So we do it from the bottom up, and people in hundreds and hundreds of communities saw people outside vigiling like you did, or fasting, or whatever. And it had an impact. And the other thing is, I didn't mention, but I really need to, and Anthony can speak to this too. He's got a lot of experience with different representatives from various countries to the UN because of the work that he's done there in New York. But we know for a fact that news of our fast and images from it were seen and heard by people in Palestine. And that was, to me, one of the best things that came out of this, so that people there could understand that, number one, not everybody in this country is a homicidal maniac, and number two, that people around the world hadn't forgotten them. So that was, to me, a very important part of it. And Anthony can tell you some of the messages that we got from the Palestinian ambassador to the UN, the representative to the UN.
Very good, very good.
I do have to give Channel 4 in Charleston a little credit. They did. We had our own photographer there and filming, and they used an interview with him and some clips of that on their evening news. So it did get out.
And that's a good point, Harvey. And that happened in a number of ways. I mean, people say be the media, and it really happened during this, because there were members of Veterans for Peace and other activists who were taking video with their iPhones and whatever, and some of those wound up turning up on some of these international outlets I was talking about.
Excellent.
What the Palestinian journalists have done.
Yeah.
And been killed for doing.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.